Here's a controversial truth. If you want to get rich, like really rich, you need to stop fearing debt and start using it. I know it sounds crazy. We've all been taught that debt is bad, that you should pay off your student loans, cut up your credit cards, and live within your means. But Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and one of the most influential financial minds of our time, says that mindset will keep you poor. According to him, the rich don't avoid debt. They use it strategically to buy assets that produce income. It's called good debt, and if you don't learn how to use it, you'll likely stay stuck in the middle class. In this video, we're going deep into Robert Kiyosaki's debt philosophy and why going into the right kind of debt today could be the smartest financial decision you ever make. Let's break it down. The difference between good debt and bad debt. Most people think all debt is bad, but that's not how the rich think. Robert Kiyosaki makes one thing very clear. There are two types of debt, and they have completely different outcomes. Bad debt is when you borrow money to buy things that don't put money back in your pocket. Think credit cards, car loans, luxury vacations. These things might feel good in the moment, but they drain your bank account and create financial stress. This is the kind of debt the poor and middle class get trapped in. Good debt, on the other hand, is when you borrow money to acquire cash-flowing assets. These are things like rental properties, businesses, or investments that produce income. The rich use other people's money, especially the banks, to control valuable assets that generate cash flow, build equity, and come with tax advantages. Kiyosaki's golden rule? Debt is only dangerous when it doesn't make you money. Learn to use it wisely and it becomes a powerful tool for building real wealth. Why the rich love debt and the poor fear? Let me ask you this. If the bank offered you $1 million right now, no strings attached, what would you do with it? Most people would buy a big house, a nice car, or maybe pay off their bills. That's the mindset of someone who spends money, not someone who multiplies money. Robert Kiyosaki teaches that the rich love debt because they understand how to make it work for them, not against them. They don't borrow money to buy liabilities. They borrow money to buy income streams. For example, Kiyosaki himself used debt to buy apartment complexes that generate rental income every month. The tenants pay the mortgage, not him. He keeps the cash flow, gains equity over time, and gets massive tax breaks, all using other people's money. Meanwhile, the poor and middle class are taught to fear debt, obsess over credit scores, and work harder to pay off everything. Even their house, which Kiyosaki says is not an asset. This is the mindset gap. The poor avoid debt out of fear, while the rich run toward it with a strategy. Inflation is crushing savers, but helping the debtors. Here's something that might blow your mind. Inflation is making savers poorer and debtors richer. Kiyosaki has been warning about this for years. Every time the government prints more money, the value of your savings goes down. Your $100 today might buy $80 worth of goods next year. That's the silent tax called inflation. And it's brutal on people who keep money in the bank. But if you have good debt, inflation actually helps you. Why? Because you're paying back your loan with cheaper dollars. Let's say you take out a 30-year mortgage at a fixed rate today. As inflation rises, the real value of your monthly payments shrinks. Meanwhile, the rent you charge your tenants increases, and the property value goes up. You're making more and paying back less. This is how the wealthy get ahead while others struggle to keep up. They borrow money to buy assets, let inflation do its thing, and watch their net worth climb. Savers lose. Strategic borrowers win. Question for you. Would you rather save $100,000 or borrow $100,000 to buy an asset that pays you? Let me know in the comments. This question reveals your wealth mindset. Using leverage to multiply wealth. Robert Kiyosaki often says, the key to wealth is leverage, and one of the most powerful forms of leverage is debt. Let's say you have $50,000. You could buy $50,000 worth of stocks, and whatever they earn, you get. Not bad. But what if you use that $50,000 as a down payment on a $250,000 rental property? Now you've controlled a $250,000 asset with tenants paying the mortgage, and all the appreciation and cash flow coming to you. That's the power of debt-based leverage. It's how small money controls big assets. This is how real estate moguls, business owners, and even tech billionaires scale. They don't use just their own cash. They use banks, investors, and credit to go bigger, faster. Kiyosaki warns, if you don't learn how to use leverage, you'll always be limited by your personal income. But if you learn how to borrow smartly, you can build wealth 10 times faster with other people's money. The tax benefits of good debt. Here's something few people realize. The government rewards people who use debt to create economic value. When you borrow money to buy real estate or invest in a business, the tax code gives you massive breaks. You can write off mortgage interest, depreciation, operating expenses, and more. In fact, Kiyosaki calls the tax code a series of incentives designed to help those who create housing, jobs, and value. And guess what? When you make money from debt-based investments, you often pay less tax than someone who works a 9-to-5 job. That's why the wealthy don't just focus on income, they focus on tax-efficient cash flow. They use debt to acquire assets, reduce taxes legally, and reinvest profits to grow even more. If you're not using the tax system like the rich do, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. Kiyosaki emphasizes this again and again. Debt plus knowledge equals power. Still with me? That means you're serious about mastering money. If you're learning something new right now, smash that like button and share this with a friend. The next section is where it gets real. Why most people are stuck in the pay-off debt trap society teaches you to be scared of debt. Parents, teachers, even financial gurus say, pay off your debt first. But if you do that without understanding leverage, you may be killing your financial future. Robert Kiyosaki doesn't say, go into any debt. He says, go into productive debt. That means instead of paying off a low-interest mortgage early, you could use that capital to buy an income-producing asset. That new asset might cover the mortgage and make you more money on top of it. The middle class often works hard to be debt-free, but guess what? Being debt-free doesn't mean you're wealthy. It just means you have no obligations. It doesn't mean you have income. It doesn't mean you're free. Rich people don't fear debt. They just make sure it works harder than they do. And once they master it, they rinse and repeat. That's how empires are built. How to use good debt without going broke. So how do you actually use debt the right way? Kiyosaki's strategy is simple but smart. Buy assets that produce more income than the cost of the debt. This means doing your homework. You don't just buy any rental property or invest in any business. You analyze, calculate cash flow, and make sure the numbers work. A $200,000 property might rent for $2,000 a month. After expenses, you keep $400 to $600 per month, and the loan is getting paid off by tenants. That's smart debt. Over time, rents go up, equity builds, and you've created passive income without lifting a finger. Also, you need a solid credit profile, emergency reserves, and the mindset of an investor, not a consumer. Don't borrow for status, borrow to build. In short, don't use debt to look rich. Use debt to become rich. Debt is a tool, not a trap. Robert Kiyosaki changed the way millions of people view money, and his message about debt is bold but true. Debt is not the enemy. Ignorance is. When you use debt to buy things that make money, not just cost money, you flip the game. You stop working for money and you let money, and other people's money, work for you. So don't fear debt. Learn about it. Understand it. Master it. Because the ones who get rich in today's world are the ones who go into the right kind of debt. Want a part 2 on Kiyosaki's views about assets, liabilities, and escaping the rat race? Or maybe a breakdown of how he structures his real estate deals? Just say the word.